in these problems, you're not missing a term. You have the quadratic term, obviously. You have the linear term. And you have a constant. So there's no shortcut to solving it, which is really what I've been showing you all morning, is all the shortcuts. In this problem and all the problems we're going to be working on in Big Orange 3, there's no shortcut. The shortcut comes later in the chapter when we go over the quadratic formula, which you already know. Or you've already been taught, but we'll relearn it later. Today we're going to be factoring this trinomial, and there are all kinds of ways to factor trinomials to teach it. And everybody teaches it different. Mr. Glass teaches it different than me, and Ms. Klaus probably teaches it different than Mr. Glass, who teaches it different than me. Whatever. Okay? So hopefully you find one method that sticks with you. You do not have to factor trinomials a certain way in here, but the way I teach it is the way I teach it. Okay, I teach what's called the monkey method. All right, I set up two parentheses, and then I say that the first two numbers have to multiply to 5. And so I draw my little arc there that points to 5. And then I say that the last two numbers have to multiply to 6. So I'm drawing a picture. It's actually up on the wall over here above where it says Miss Piggy. And the nose and the mouth of the monkey, when you put them together, must combine to equal the middle term. Can you see the little chimp in there?
That one looks more like a chimp.
Yeah, well, I didn't have room up there. All right. So what you have to do is you have to fill in numbers so that all of that is true. The first two numbers multiply to 5. The last two numbers multiply to 6. And then when you take the inside numbers combined with the outside numbers via addition, you get negative 13. And you have to put numbers in so all of that is true. Where in the world do you start? Well, 5 is easy because there's only two numbers that multiply to 5. 5 and 1. 5 and 1 are the only two numbers that multiply to 5, so you know that has to be true. Has to be 5 and 1. The last two numbers have to multiply to 6. What are my choices? Either 3 and 2 or 6 and 1. Those are the only choices for 6. So you start playing around with it until you find something that works in the middle. Now the middle is negative 13. That means that to get a negative 13 in the middle, both of the numbers are going to have to be negative to get a positive 6 and to get negative 13. Okay, there's my options. So you just you plug something in. So you put negative 2 and negative 3. Just plugging something in. Now, the nose of the monkey, negative 2 times x, is negative 2x. See it? The negative 2 and the x, those purple dots. The mouth, 5x times negative 3, is negative 15. Does negative 2 and negative 15 add up to negative 13? No, it doesn't. So I'm wrong. So I try again, sir. Well, yes, but then you don't get positive 6 at the end. So, we try again. This is how there's no other way. At whatever method you choose, there is a guess and check element at some point. Okay? All right, so I just flipped them. Now, my nose, let me walk up here and show you. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then my mouth, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10x. Do these two numbers add up to this? Yes. So my first two multiply to 5x squared. My last two, negative 3 and negative 2, multiply to positive 6. And my nose and my mouth add up to the middle. So it's right. If I FOILed it, distributed it out, you would get the original problem. So those are the two parentheses that, like the last two big oranges, we set equal to 0 and solve. So we set 5x minus 3 equal to 0 and x minus 2 equal to 0 and solve them. 3/5 and 2. Those are the two numbers that you would put into that equation to get 0.